Yeah, so
Hi, I'm Sarah.
this is Sarah, one of the other poets. The poets are all eventually, like one by one, are going to come into this spot right here, and then that way you can project your voice this way. The audience is I'm going to have them underneath the tree.
Nice.
And then to the side, and that way it's not just one of our poets, and then you can help yourself out working on the spot. I'm allowed? Okay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Poetry for the People. Thank you everyone for coming. If audience members want to go underneath the tree, we are so blessed with this beautiful tree, and I really wanted to think of it as a meeting place. Of All Boats Bloom, I'm the artist. My name is Dino. Thank y'all so much for coming. This really means a lot to me. The idea of this installation came to me years ago, and I told myself one day this was going to happen, and to see it actually here on this beautiful, how we all come together and how we can grow and thrive together. And the site really will transform over the year, but really be activated through community engagement. So if you want to go into the Trail Conservancy calendar, you will see, and then in November we're going to have a community picnic. So this is what it's about, people coming together from different communities and really coming in a place of love and joy and happiness and celebration, because we know that joy is an act of resistance. And we need that now more than ever. So please, I'm going to do an introduction of these wonderful, amazing poets. And if you've ever, more exciting is when it's really about a unified interconnectedness that we can all feel and experience, right? So to start us off, I should probably thank our sponsors. The Trail Conservancy, of course, Arts and Public Places. We have free cold brew courtesy of Nasnandu Coffee. We have Charles Hepner here from the League of Voters, Women Voters of Austin. And then we have the Angry Bird there. If you want to make some lawn signs for voting and for this election year, please do. Grab some and make some art. So, to further ado, Poetry for the People. Our first poet is Tawny Ward. Ricardo Tawny Ward Ramirez, PhD, writes poetry, nonfiction, and fiction focused on was published in 2019 on Little Crow Press. His collection of poems, Broken to Mend, was published in 2024 on Alamo Bay Press. He earned his PhD.
I swore off iconoclassism in order to connect with the masses, and yet it is so deep within me. My eyes see corruption, my ears hear lies, my nose smells a rat behind every corner. I feel the spines of the cactus before I bleed. I commit myself to the truth. How can my fire not burn down this world of hay? I plant trees so they might give life to the decay, and another chops them down. I flow a river to the sea so that we might all heal together. Another builds a dam so our blood does not run. I embrace and another pushes away. I find peace and another is at war and I am in his way. I pray for his awakening and he kills me dead over and over and over again. What am I to do about it? What of this frustration bubbling to the surface for having failed so long? For all of us who are unable to burn down this wretched place before it corrupted us. What is it worth, my survival, my thriving amongst this drudgery? What is worth my happiness in the face of failure, my laughter in the cacophony of tears? What can my awakening bring to this world of slumber? What of this not extinguished heart that still beats? Can you hear it? Not worth a river or even a tree? Perhaps only the prick of a cactus on my finger. What is worth the taste of blood on my tongue? warm and full of minerals that come from deep within the earth, deep where truth rests, so much deeper than lies? Can I give love to the rats behind the corners, to the huddled masses? I swore I would not destroy the small things they cherish, those who do not understand a single line in this poem or any other. Might they burn this as it haunts me, my alienation, my freedom, my words, creation, an overcoming of an urge to destroy. To those who cannot grieve, I reach inside you to tug out the darkness you have folded into your heart. To those who cannot grieve, I stick my hand down your throat to dislodge the object obstructing your cries, the wailing that suffocates others in your terse, commanding demeanor. Oh, you, who has not yet learned to grieve, but I believe can, I spit into your eyes, so they might feel the wet of tears, though the ducts may be crusted over with your hard stares that dare others to spare their authenticity in your presence. In your prison that masquerades as an identity, I don't care which one you have chosen, surely one you think gives you meaning, but in reality obscures it. You, ignorant of your own grieving process, stuck in denial, in anger, in depression, never nearing acceptance, or even the acceptance that comes with acknowledging loss. You, hoarder of grief, like you hoard gold, like you hoard all of the beautiful things you have stolen, that which weighs you down, that what makes your limbs too heavy to dance. You who have coveted everything in existence, but forgot what you lost, forgot what you grieve, in every instant with your meticulous calculations of forgetting, your fantasy of a false history. You, with the story you tell about yourself, that with no sense of irony leaves you here and now with so little to share of any worth, whether it be wisdom or beauty. You, ghoul of shame, wretched creature who has stolen another's face and name, I cast you out of the husk of human you inhabit. I sentence you back to whatever icy horror birthed you, so far back to where there was no time to cry or scream or even remember, when there was not the strength to reflect on the things you did, when you embodied the monster, after you made the trade, taking power and foregoing culture. Now unable to grieve, you are also unable to recognize murder, and will defend your ability to never feel anything, nor even take a breath together, so we might connect and collectively grieve all we have lost. I reach into your fold of darkness, tucked into your heart, and pull out the purge you hoard. Let it out! I beckon you to sit in the circle and scream. I urge you to put on the bells and dance till you collapse. I implore you to cry into the ocean until you are depleted. I ask you to stare into the fire so it may spit into your eyes and show you what you have lost. Then will you join us on the other side of murder? Now, open your mouth wide. Don't worry, my hand is clean. The pain I offer you is loving, and the grief that you now offer the world is love. Installation, but to invite community in to participate in giving it life, and giving it our words, our breath, our culture, and all our deep knowledge and our stories and our cultures all coming together here. I think it's really beautiful, and it's exactly what you're doing here. So I'm really grateful, and I'm grateful to all the rest of the performers for coming to share your words, and I'm just grateful to each and every one of you to come out here on this beautiful Sunday morning and share with the rest of us. Again, my name, for others' mistakes make connections so real that they break us, our own power, and see where it takes us. Those are my bombs that blew up those kids, my bullets fired from sniper rifles, my chemicals that burn in scar faces, my bulldozer that demolishes houses, my angry mob denying access to food and medicine, my genocide, I did that, my cheers mock the dead, my arrogance lies on TV. I am connected, not just to the screams of the dying, but to the deeds of the killers. I am strung between the scream and the shame. This is the world I have created. One half starved and the other half starving. One side that laughs while the other is crying. One side living while the other side still trapped beneath the rubble, waiting for loved ones' bloody hands to dig us out. To connect again, when we are whole, when we are loved, when we are conscious, when we are God, when we are ready to obey the law, that we must pay for what we take, when we realize the truth, when Palestine is free, from the burden of paying for all of our greed and fear and shame. Might we heal, reassemble, gain consciousness, connect with each other and the world around us. May we know God, may we know the freedom of surrender, a free world that we build together, here, united. May we know a free Palestine.
So our next poet, her name is Sarah Mathis, is a poet from Central New Jersey. I'm from Jersey too. One of the places I lived. Anyway, her debut collection of poetry, Town Crier, won the Lexi Radinsky First Book Prize and was a finalist for the National Jewish Book Award. She has received support for her work from the Yiddish Book Center and the Svitala Renari Foundation. A graduate of the Meschner Center for Writers, she lives in Austin, Texas, where she serves as the managing editor of Bat City Review and teaches poetry at UT. Let's give a round of applause for Sarah.
Thank you so much. Can y'all hear me? Is this on?
Maybe, but I can hear you.
Okay. I'm pretty good at projecting, but I love feeling like a poetry pop star. This is so cool. It's really fun to read poems here. I crashed my moped right there a year ago, so kind of good memories, you know? It all comes full circle. It's actually a really good memory because when I crashed my moped right there, this like biker gang rolled up on me and they all collected my belongings and like helped me ride my bike. And the belongings that I had were a bunch of smelly markers that were like rolling out into the road. So imagine just some like real tough dudes like running after the banana marker, you know? So yeah, it's cool to be here reading poems here. Okay, I chose some poems that are like kind of about Austin, so maybe you'll recognize some of the places in them. The first one is called Alone at the Counter at Counter Cafe. Do y'all know Counter Cafe? Yeah. It's next to my favorite bookstore, Alienated Majesty Books. Shout out if you haven't been there. Okay, so this is a poem I wrote alone at the counter there. And it owes a debt to Kelly Clarkson, so see if you hear that. Okay, here I am, once again. I'm torn into pieces before this Tupperware of croutons. Everything arrives at once. My single breakfast taco, my polyamorous grits. A retaining wall protects potato frying oil. It roils, boils, toils. I too tend to identify too strongly with my rage. When I say cast me into the fire, I mean like meaningful dice. I mean deconstitute me completely in the pupa of your warm raised fist before my final union with the flame. Monogamy, from the Greek mono, meaning one, and gami, meaning grandma. Have you ever watched Spinach? Have you ever seen yellow eyes swirl in dreams behind albumin lids? I ask for Yellowbird, she brings me red. I ask for green, it explodes. I'm without reason or napkin. Yet how full of reason is the day? Everyone's got one for something or other. Everything touchable can be made wipeable. Smear me across the napkin of the road. Clean me with the hanky of your panky. Okay, that was the first poem. Okay, fun time, right? Yes, do all sorts of things. Okay, this one is called Have a Legal Butterfly, and it takes place at the Town Lake YMCA. Anyone go to the Town Lake YMCA? Yeah! Okay. The coldest water at the YMCA is available from a cooler just outside the swimming pool's entrance. I know this. I go there after cardio dance funk, during which I performed a pas de bourrée to Dua Lipa's New Rules. And pausing in the hall to sniff the dangerous chlorine, I find a wall full of paper fish, on which a school of children have written their swimming goals. Some are inscrutable. Get a BB cut in a 50 breast. Looks crude in a child's scrawl. Have a legal butterfly appeals at first. Grows darker when I think of the strict leash of law tightening yellow pants. Freddie writes that his goal is to become as fast as Henry in everything. Then draws a smiley face in 3 stages of growing a thick beard. Melissa writes in small, cramped print, I want to take less breaks, which breaks my heart a little in the hall. I read every single goal of every single child, searching for guidance. cover of Born to Run on banjo and saw because she saw me in the audience. And Thor, drummer of Swans, walking backwards up the Stairmaster. He was so kind to me. Today, a dog accompanied a blind woman to the erg. He sat bushy and untouchable beside her as she rode slow. Holden's goals are be cool and stuff, and feed birds pellets. Armed now with guidance, I move outside to write all this down. Both a bee and a man come too close to me. For whom do I rise? For whom do I spin in circles, shake my fins, come indoors? The air is wet like a used towel. After the Y, I head to REI and buy an e-bike. Behold, my 30s. I ride the Shoal Creek Trail for a long time, the wrong way. The trail is shady and smooth, and dips below bridges. Some people are living, some sleeping, some burning small fires. Each press of pedal sends me past them 1 to 5 times faster than it should. Okay, that's the second poem. Okay, the last poem. This one is a found poem, so I took all the language from my 10-year-old niece's like little newspaper magazine she gets weekly. I don't know if you've ever seen these, but children can like subscribe to these little world digests that have information about different things going on. And I just found the language of the headlines like so good and beautiful and funny. So this is all just ripped straight from the headlines of what children think is news. And so should we all. So should we all. Okay, it's called Welcome to the World. It's an amazing week for a long life. Elephant calf makes public debut. National Library Week is observed. The newspaper to stay in business. Write a meaningful letter. Give a solid handshake. Bake chai oatmeal cookies with spiced glaze. Should potatoes be called a vegetable? Creating an apple for the future. Finding the music in mayo. Pursuing a dream. A legacy of excellence and influence. A group of trout fill a net before being released into a lake in Massachusetts. This photo of a tea garden in China was taken from above. Old horse performs new tricks. Discovering an alphabet of clicks. For legacy in space. Adventurous parrot takes a plunge. Revising the story of people and dogs. The jackal that was changed. Thank you so much for being here to hear poetry. I'm very about this. I really appreciate it.
And I will just jump right into it. So, also shout out to the North. A lot of people up here are from the North. So I grew up in Massachusetts. So. I still feel like a little boy, despite the hair upon my chinny chin. I'm in Blue's Clues pajamas. Mommy reading me The Three Little Pigs. No different from a scared child asking to sleep in his parents' bed again. I had a nightlight until I was 15. Pitch black creating paralyzing fear. I'm still afraid. But closet monsters turned into police officers, tying a noose around my neck, their gun cocked to my head. Padre nuestro que, unlike demons in movies, praying won't make them leave. I'm not scared of being haunted. I already am. Blue and red lights follow wherever I land, waiting to illuminate at my first traffic mistake. Red skin replenishing racist reasoning. I get chills when I'm scared. Maybe because I feel ice on my body, waiting outside my house. My parents can't protect me. I'm afraid to knock on their bedroom door, bringing mobs of colonial killers, aching to throw this continent's children into cages for illegal alien occupation on land that ain't even theirs. Immigration agencies only address Latino problems. We're purposefully exempt from that category. Our mother tongue too large to fit in Spanish dictionaries, unless it's to serve as a nation's decoration. 8 years ago, Border Patrol murdered 2 Maya children. Unable to express sickness in either Spanish or English, death neared with every unspoken word. May I remind you, language access is a core civil right? Seemingly, this is flexible, only applying to colonial tongues. Since then, ICE has murdered 5 more Maya youth. That's why I have nightmares the entire week, one day for each of their 7 souls. They've left a hole in my heart. Attached to me is callous to feet. I wish it was the creature in my closet that created this dread. I'm afraid of closing my eyes, seeing their faces replaced by my siblings. How many more of our youth are they willing to take? But I'm no longer a child. I'll rise into the man I am, and I'll be brave. I won't make my parents share their bed. I'll bring the sun to each indigenous child, my red skin and citizenship as their shield, melting every inch of ice as they recite the 3 little pigs, finally freed from cages. Continent's name, you're the one who discovered it, so shouldn't you remember? But you're right. I ain't no American, I belong to Techoncho. Soy indio, as in the creator makes feathers out of my hair. She sticks them on my back, places the rest in my medicine sack, tells me to fly to every Torogos nest, replace their molten feathers with ones that soar, guiding our beating hearts to Ahuachapan, last place my ancestors never had to speak a colonizer's tongue. Directed by ceremonial smoke in a beating turtle drum, Tacuacines sing, tireless tales, holding blessed leña, careful to never let Father Torch lose flames. Deer dance, removing their antlers, carving them into sacrifice for spirit. I braid each one into my hair, every connection holding nature's precious gifts, waiting for the next time she unravels me. Soy indio, as in my elders declared me Masat, the sacred white deer, my red skins. The bucks gave me their creator-made thorns, allowing me to reach into the heavens. I was born as dead as I am alive, only live once but experience multiple deaths. Erupting volcanoes reach into my body, awakening memories of tightening ropes. My inhaler can't open up my lungs. I sweat even when there's no heat. My body constantly raining grief. I'm marching behind my great-grandfather. My wrists have scars. I used to think they were from me, but it's the memory of iron that put them there. All these stretches don't solve my back pain. What hurts are slashes I can't see, ones he received from falling to his knee. Soy indio, as in you gonna know who I am, and not because of no DNA test, some nationalistic wet dream. Ain't no, I think my grandma was kinda, we everything we say we is. Not on no blood quantum stuff. Community is bigger than made up racial reasoning. I knew my people before my own name. At conception, my ancestors branded me, and now I'm here to fulfill their prophecy. I have one last and final one, and I'm stolen. With a pickaxe and whitewash history book, finding murals from 200 BCE. Living proof we've been writing. I knew it all before 2005, but they only believe us if they can take it in their thieving hands, put it into a stuffy museum. $20 admission, please. You get $5 off if you're a student or a member. I should get $25 off and a band for my embroidered wallet. These stories were whispered to me in a blessed crib. Matter of fact, let me get your 20. I'ma turn my lullabies into a history lesson. When y'all arrived at Techoncho, you wrote down our numbers. 652 indios y 99 son niños. Seems you forgot your pen and paper, cause if I ask you now, we're long gone. Buried besides burnt bodies, souls you took in 1532. But my family remains amongst corn stalks, in between isote flowers, on top of pito trees, our cacao eyes always watching. Indigenous people weren't in El Salvador's constitution until 2014. I know, we is late to everything. Ever heard of Indian time? But 1,000 years before you, we marked each day with astronomical precision. Knowledge whispered to us by the moon. These were miracles to you. You were shitting in outside holes. We had complex sewage systems. Shit. If I was you, I wouldn't believe it either. 42% of indigenous people in El Salvador don't have potable water. I'm from a long line of story keepers, manos milperas convirtiendo sabiduría a algo celestial, backtunes forge infinitely into Mother Earth, but unlike you, we have her permission. You have robbed us, not just of land, but of birthright ancestral knowledge. Unable to write her lessons, my great-grandmother only left me what her children could remember. Denoya's mind deteriorates every word I speak, leaving only silent whispers of memories. 500,000 indigenous people in El Salvador are illiterate. That's why I write. If you take away my pen, yo me haré plumas de mi pelo, I'll fill their ink with my own tears. If you cut my hands, me morderé mi lengua de venado, and I'll write every syllable with what burst from my wound. It don't matter what you do. My ancestors keep my words free, so keep digging. Come on, don't flee. Experience all we have told you that you don't believe. Because once you're deep enough, there's weird spirits awaiting your demise with glee, and a very angry Indian, me.
This next poet, I was lucky enough to be introduced to her. She's a Vietnamese American poet, and really means a lot to me as well, because part of the boats is my family's migration story. My mother was pregnant with me during the Vietnam War, and they migrated as boat people, and I was then born in the States. And so the imagery and the symbolism of boats is very personally meaningful to me, but it is really just a symbol of a greater human experience through all of history and time, and to be able to have confidence here with me today means a lot, and I'm really looking forward to hearing her words. Thanh Le Nguyen is a Vietnamese-American artist working across poetry, pottery, and painting. A native Texan shaped by years in London, Istanbul, New York, Singapore, and Saigon. Her work explores culture, identity, and connection. Rooted in her Vietnamese heritage and sharpened by her global perspective, she examines self, history, and belonging. Poetry, her most intimate medium.
Thank you guys for coming out. I'm less disappointed.
No doubt about it. Hey, y'all want to see Human Bones down in the woods? Yeah, this is
Alright.
my friend. I'm pretty sure.
So, originally I was just going to
Don't
perform
worry about that.
2 poems, but it seems like everyone got the memo to perform 3. This first poem, so, a bit of context. I spent most of the last week in the hospital, and being there just reminded me of a poem I wrote when I was first in the hospital earlier this year. And yeah, I just wanted to perform it with you. I felt like it was really timely, and without further ado, it's called The Language of Pain. I entered the ER fluent in the language of patience. The language of patience is the language of numbers and acronyms. I'm here because I saw my CBC results come in, and my hemoglobin was a normal 12 3 weeks ago, and now you're saying I need a blood transfusion? And why is my fasting glucose a 280, and how did my A1C go from a 5.8 to an 8.5 in 3 months? What's my pain level? Well, it's a constant 4 with tsunamis of 7. The night of my first procedure, I was given pain meds that never seemed to come soon enough. I cried out in Vietnamese, "Đau bụng, đau bụng quá." Like my brain had reverted, threw out all those numbers and all those acronyms, and returned to the first language I ever described pain in. Mẹ, con đau bụng. Sorry. After the night of my first procedure, I no longer wanted treatments I understood. My body yearned for the treatments I knew. Treatments my sisters knew. Break out the green oil, break out the coin, scrape that wicked wind out of me. Let the herbal scent cover my hospital sheets. Let me travel back to childhood, back to when I didn't know any better, back to when I thought anointment could keep me safe. Eagle riding on a snake, reaching towards the year of the horse. Light me on fire. The night of my second procedure, my doctor forgot to prescribe me any pain meds. And my brain reverted back to when we all had a shared language. Before words, humanity had tears, screams, and moaning vowels. The the universal language of pain. The night of my second procedure, I threw up from the pain. Oops, sorry. Something else happened the night of my second procedure. I pulled my clothes off. My primal pain had no need for modesty. All I did was cry and writhe, trying to find a way to be that wasn't a 10 out of 10 on the pain scale level of unbearable. The night of my second procedure, I threw up from the pain. I thought I had thrown up bile before. I thought bile was clear and yellow, the color of vegetable oil, but it is actually green and black, the color of olive oil gone rancid. Pure bile tastes like all the bitter things you've had to swallow in life. Every inappropriate joke, every awkward conversation, every missed opportunity for recognition have come to reunite in your throat, ready to celebrate the new year. Great. Thank you. First poem I've ever written outside of elementary school. I wrote it 2 years ago, back when we were receiving a lot of news coverage on the Israeli occupation of Palestine, which of course is still happening. Back then, I felt so much anger and pain, but it also felt like a story that I had seen before. And so I felt really helpless. I didn't know what to do. So I wrote, and what I wrote came out in the form of this poem. It's called To the Past and Future Children of Refugees. I read that the children who survive this war, this attempt at genocide, will be plagued for life. Strangled by malnutrition, it will leave a mark because the brain and the body need full bellies to fully develop. When I read this, I feel that I am staring at both the future and the past. Growing up, every uncle I've ever known had a temper shorter than the fuses of the bombs that were dropped on their homes. It's as if their seat of reason had to be cobbled together from the kind of sticks found in rubble. When I read this, I feel that I am staring at both the past and the future. Thrown ahead, I see the children of the children who survived this war, children of these lucky refugees, confused by their parents' silence, flinching under the anger of those who won the lottery but lost the war. I actually wrote it specifically for today and for this exhibition. When V reached out to me and I learned more about All Boats Bloom, I was really inspired, and so this poem is kind of a conversation with this piece as well as a continuation of the themes of the previous poem, which is like the connection that all immigrants, migrants, and refugees have across space and across time. Something else I wanted to say about this poem. It mentions my parents a lot, and they are here today. They came up from Houston. This is the first time they've ever seen me perform poetry, so I appreciate them stepping out of their comfort zone to listen to this. And also, speaking about comfort zone, I'm also going to attempt to recite this from memory. When I was in the hospital, I had a lot of time on my hands, so yeah, we'll see how this goes. It's called Collective Memory. When I lived in Manhattan, I scoffed at the bridge and tunnel set. Those who had to cross a river to land on my island. An unintentional echo of how my classmates would call our other classmates wetbacks. Or how I assiduously avoid the students we labeled as fobs, Asians who were fresh off the boat, accents thick and clothing never quite right. Purposely forgetting that my own parents were immigrants with thick accents. Purposely forgetting that my own parents were known as boat people. It always circles back to water. As if living on the right side of a river will make a person worthy of respect or worthy of scorn. Some people will act as if a river does not nourish both sides of its banks equally. Some people will act as if the sea is not equally salty on both shores. As if water takes sides. As if water is a stationary border. As if water is not always moving. As if water is not the ultimate immigrant. As if water is not the refugee we all see ourselves reflected in. Always desperately lapping at the shores, never quite here, but never quite from there. my father what his favorite childhood memory was. He replied, "The day he saw a dog die, shot in the head by a soldier." I was 7. He was 7. Videos of Syrian refugees washed up on European shores floods my eyes and sinks my heart. During meetings in Singapore behind closed conference room doors, my clients discuss how we can use this to sell more Johnny Walker. As if this humanitarian crisis alone could not send any man to drown his sorrows in a bottle labeled black or blue. While I watch their ad, my mind swims across the sea in 40 years to my skinny teenage father and his 2 brothers who left aboard a U.S. Navy ship, 3 boys and a set of 9, bobbing along to another shore. I asked my mother-in-law what she misses most about Vietnam. She tells me about the time her family saved up all their money so they could escape the country by boat. They run across a dark beach, the moon their only source of light, and then they were discovered. Their chance is gone, their money is gone. I forget that nhớ, to miss in Vietnamese, also means to remember. The language was not ready for the hidden chasm that happens when the thing that you remember most is not the thing that you miss most. My father still wakes up from nightmares where his skinny teenage self, sorry, I said he was skinny before, where his teenage self, we don't have to emphasize it, where his teenage self clings on to tests as if they're the last lifeboat out. My teenage self falls asleep gripping the pencils that I will use to climb out of this suburban hell. I studied so I could get as far as possible away from home. He studied so he could stay home. By 28, he ended up in Houston. By 28, I ended up in Ho Chi Minh City. How was I able to achieve both of our dreams? I hear stories of packed ships full of people desperate enough to gamble on any life, as long as it is not this one. Boats have capacity and then some. I've seen diagrams of slave ships. I know that each vessel can hold an unfathomable amount of passengers. But how many survivors it can sustain is a separate story. A woman who looks like my aunt says, "I remember people, fellow passengers, covered in vomit, covered in lice. We were surrounded by water so salty, it made us so thirsty that we had to resort to swallowing our own urine." Tell me, Gong, have you ever been that thirsty? When I was younger and I'd see a particularly large gem, I'd have the urge to swallow it through my mouth, down my windpipe. When stopped by Thai pirates which usually meant manslaughter on the open waters, Vietnamese women would swallow their jewelry, ensuring their future self an extra gold ounce of security. I inherit their anguish as instinct. They call the professionals who help carry bodies across the Rio Grande polleros, men who work with chickens, because the type of people desperate enough to escape this way are desperate enough to be stuffed into a truck like little chickens in a box. I read that 53 migrants have been found dead in a tractor trailer in San Antonio. A perilous crossing through water becomes an even more precarious one through land. I read that 39 Vietnamese migrants have been found dead in a tractor trailer in England. Almost half a century after the fall of Saigon, and we remain as desperate as ever. There's a photo that pops up on every Instagram feed in 2015. It is of a 2-year-old boy, too skinny to be a toddler, lying face down on the sand. He is dressed like someone loves him. A tiny red shirt, some small blue shorts, a pair of soaked sneakers, waterlogged. What we don't see are photos of his mother and his 5-year-old brother who have suffered the same fate. Just 3 of the 2,500 casualties that summer, Syrian refugees whose only crime was trying to find a safe harbor across the Mediterranean Sea. Sorry, what? Oh yes, a picture springs up on the front page of the New York Times in 1972. A 9-year-old girl, too skinny, emaciated, ribs protruding from her small body. She screams as her skin burns. A scream so loud you can hear it through a photograph. Namkwa, Namkwa. Before she is known as Napalm Girl, she is known as Kim Phuc by her Bangoy. What we don't notice is that her brothers and her cousins have suffered the same fate. Just a few children out of the 1.4 million civilian casualties of the Vietnam War. I watch a reenactment of the fall of Constantinople. It is the start of the Ottoman Empire's rise, which means it is the start of the Byzantine Empire's fall. The Roman Empire, a force for a millennium and a half, was eroded away by a 53-day siege. I watch as Eastern Romans rush onto wooden ships, not wanting to meet their new Ottoman conquerors. A woman stops on the deck and looks back at her city, at her Constantinople, set on fire. Recognition on her face that the life she has known will never be the same. Her city will change its name and change its locks. In that instant, I saw a noble woman transformed into a refugee. And I wonder how many Vietnamese women had looked back at Saigon in that exact same way, drifting away from the only home they have ever known, knowing that they can never truly return to a city that will change its name and change its locks. Fascism's on the rise. Sorry. Fascism's on the forecast here tonight. My friends say they want to stay and fight, but when every adult in your life has stayed alive through flight, you find a dentist to replace your teeth with gold, you swallow your best jewelry, you pack quickly the way you've always known you would. When optimism becomes too much to ask for, you find a boat, you find the sea, you flee. Nuoc is the Vietnamese word for both country and water. After all, isn't water the only true country we have known? After all, didn't we spend our first 9 months as aquatic beings? When all else fails, we can always return to the water. Thank you, guys. And thank you for being patient with me while I'm bedtime.
He is the founder of Rhythms and Poetry, a multidisciplinary arts platform that produces open mics, poetry slams, workshops, and community-centered events at Rich's Art Gallery, Austin's only Black-owned art gallery. Please welcome Jay Rice.
Tree of the People, and we're here on the 250th anniversary of the United States, and I think all the poets showed what that is, and all of its different identities, and it's not just one story that we're force-fed, but it's all the multiple that we actually live, and that's what makes America America. And, it's actually my first time seeing this installation, so the first piece I have is one that I wrote in honor of all the matriarchs in our lives, for my mom, for my late grandmother, and it's called If Gardening is Worship. I don't need these glasses. I don't need to see you. I feel you. Then let these flowers be the fruit of God's labor. Let his work shine through the hands of grannies, aunties, and mine. May my tears and sorrow and joy water my soil. Bring me beauty for ashes, the way Eden existed in every matriarch before me. These flowers are not fragile. They're packing pistils and petals, primed with personal evolution and a Teal's prayer. Tied tightly together, yet secure enough to love loosely, yet lovingly. If gardening is worship, the flower bed I lay in crowns me with thorns. For this artwork is our inheritance, an unfolding masterpiece. Grandiose, the size of dreams, heavenly florals flowing forever, in remembrance that those we lost live through us forever, and they live through us when we worship, tending to our garden, engraving a piece of us in the soil and in the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, you acclimate. Like, your body acclimatizes over time. Like, this certain days is not but then I go back to work and I'm like,
I love your hat. You have the AARC on it. That's awesome.
I also love Karen Kong. Yeah. And then I love Town Crier.
Yeah, right.
And it's a little, I mean, it's a little different. I love Karen Kong.
Are we on either side of the boat? Or
Yeah, we can do either. Fabian, how do you want to with your first floor? It's a space. Should we do it like this? Behind the boat? Oh, really? Yeah. That's good.
Do we have a cloud to do something?
No. Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, crazy the stuff that we all have to do and how it kind of lands.
I'm actually writing a piece right now called like Not From Here, Not From There. But it's that I feel like I'm always
Okay, on the count of 3. Wait for a couple more people to go. Let's just one go. This is gonna be perfect. 1, 2, 3, go. Well, we got, at least we have some progress. Like we have like an appointment.
Thank you. Yeah, no. Yeah.